Hello everyone, it's Mr. Montgomery again with a brand new math video, and we're learning a lot about the number 10 lately. We learned about a 10 frame, how to use the 10 frame, how that can help us see the different parts of 10, and even how to find the missing part of 10. We've done so much. Today, we're going to learn about something called a table, which is this little guy right around here at the bottom. See these purple little boxes all connected? This is a table. And up top, we have a little chart to help us understand a table. And let's make up a little story problem about it. So let's say that we have apples, just like the one I drew here, because I'm an amazing artist. And we have oranges. And let's say that your mom or dad says that you're allowed only 2 pieces of fruit, and we have apples and oranges to pick from. So one way we could show this is we want 2 apples. So on this chart up here, we have 2 circles, which means we don't have anything on this side because we already have 2, which is our whole number. So how are we going to use this table to show this story problem? So we're allowed 2 pieces of fruit, and let's say we want 2 apples. So since the number 2 goes here, how many oranges are we going to have if we're only allowed 2 pieces of fruit? 0. And now don't write any of this down. We're just kind of practicing a little bit. I'll let you know when to start writing. But what if we don't want just apples? Let's say I want 1 apple. How many oranges am I allowed to have? I can have 1. Or let's say I don't like apples at all. Well, how many would that be if I don't want any apples? It can be a 0. And if I have 0 apples, how many oranges am I allowed to eat? Well, I can have 2 oranges now because I'm not eating any apples. So it's pretty simple, but we're going to do another practice one with a slightly bigger number because later on we're going to have to do this with the number 10. But don't worry, it'll be pretty fun. So hold on a second, let me get a bigger number. Okay, so now I have a bigger number. So instead of 2, we have 3. And let's say we're allowed 3 pieces of fruit to eat, because that's what mom and dad told us. So if we're allowed to eat 3 pieces of fruit, well, let's say that we really like apples, and we want 3 apples. Remember, this is just another practice one that I'm showing you so we can understand it more. We're going to do an even bigger number in a little bit. So let's say we have 3 apples. Well, how many oranges can I eat if I can only have 3 pieces of fruit? 0, because I already picked 3 apples. But what if I really want an orange with my apples? Well, I can have 2 apples. And how many oranges would I be allowed to eat? Just 1, because 2 plus 1 equals 3, which is our whole number up here. But what if I don't like apples that much, but I really like oranges? Well, I could have 1 apple. And if I'm allowed a total of 3, how many oranges can I eat? I can eat 2. Or what if we don't like apples at all? Blah. Well, we don't have to pick any apples. And how many oranges would I be allowed to eat if I can still have 3 pieces of fruit? I can now have 3 oranges because I decided not to eat any apples. So see, on the one side, if I have 3 here, which is already the total, then that means 0 has to go on the other side. Because we can't be more than 3 if that is our total number. If I have 2 on one side, well, I can only have 1 on the other side then, because 2 plus 1 equals 3. Like, I can even put a plus sign in the middle. 2 plus 1 equals 3. And then 1 plus 2, that equals 3. And then 0 plus 3, well, that also equals 3. So each side, or each part, has to total our big number up top. Let's try this with an even bigger number, and you can do this one with me. Okay, now that I have my bigger number, let's look at the first part that we know. So let's count them. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So 5 is our first part. And I'll give you a second to draw all this, because I'm sure you want to do this one with me since we're using this big number 10 now. Okay, so we have 5 apples, but we're allowed 10 pieces of fruit, right? So we have to find the missing part of how many oranges we're allowed to eat. So let's count on from 5. Ready? 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Now how many dots did I draw? I drew 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So if I'm allowed 10 pieces of fruit, I can have 5 apples and 5 oranges. But what if I want some more apples and oranges though? Well, if we add 1 extra over here, let's say we have 6. Let's say we have 6 apples. How many oranges would I be allowed to have? Well, you know what? Let's use this little chart up here to help us out. Hold on, let me adjust it real quick. Okay, so I adjusted our little chart up here. Okay, so if we have 6 apples, like we see up here, how many oranges are we allowed to have? Well, let's find out. We're going to count on from 6 all the way up to 10. So 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. So if we already count to 10, that means we're done. Let's see how many circles we drew. 1, 2, 3, and 4. So if I have 6 apples to eat, that means I'm only allowed to have 4 oranges. But what if I really want some more apples? And we have 7. Well, how many oranges could we eat? Well, let's find out. Let me adjust the chart again real quick. All right, so now that we have 7 on this side, let's find out how many is in the missing part for our oranges. So we'll count on from 7 all the way to 10. 7, 8, 9, and 10. Now I stop since I reached 10, and I count my circles. 1, 2, and 3. So if I have 7 apples, I'm allowed to have 3 oranges. But you know what? What if I really like oranges and I don't want that many apples? Well, what if I just want 1 apple? How many oranges would I be allowed to eat? Let's find out. Let me adjust my paper again. Okay, so I have 1 apple on this side. Let's find out how many oranges I could eat if I am still at 10 pieces of fruit and I only decide to have 1 apple. Let's count on from 1. Ready? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. So I stop because I counted all the way up to 10. Let's see how many circles I drew. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. So if I ate 1 apple and I'm allowed 10 pieces of fruit, I could still eat 9 more oranges. Okay, so now everyone turn to the next page, and I'll get the next page up so we can try this out together. Okay, I'll give you guys a couple more seconds to open up your packets to the next page, and you should see number 1 just like I have up on the screen. Okay, I think everyone should be ready. Let's see what kind of story they're telling us today. Let's read it. Manuel buys 5 balloons. He can pick from green and orange. So he has 2 colors to pick from. Show the ways he can pick the balloons. So they're telling us he can pick a combination of green and orange colored balloons. And they kind of did the first way for us. So he can have 0 green. And he can have 5 orange. That's one way he can make 5 using green and orange balloons. Now let's do the first part of this chart together, and then I'm going to have you try it on your own. What if he wants to have 1 green balloon? How many orange balloons would he be allowed to have? Remember, our number has to total or equal 5. So 1 plus whatever number we put here has to equal 5. So if he has 1, he's allowed to have 4 orange balloons. Now try the rest of the chart on your own, just like we did on the page before. Remember, keep adding 1 to this column, and then whatever we add to this column, we have to take away from the orange column, right? And no matter what, it always has to equal this number that they're telling us over here, the number 5. So go ahead, I'll give you guys a minute. You know what? That should be enough time. Let's go over this chart together to make sure we all have the same numbers. So let's look at these green balloons here. And let's say we want even more green balloons. We can have 2 green balloons, but if we have 2, what number plus 2 will give us 5? Well, if we have 2 green balloons, we can have 3 orange balloons. Well, what if we want even more green balloons because we really like the color green? And we want 3 green balloons. How many orange balloons can we have? We can have 2, because 3 plus 2 is 5. Well, what if we want even more green balloons? Well, we can have 4, but then how many orange balloons would we be allowed to pick? Just 1. What if we don't like orange at all, and we just want all green balloons, and we pick 5? How many orange balloons could we have? 0, because we already reached 5 on this side. And if you look at our table that we made, you'll see that they kind of flip sides, right? So first we start with 0 and 5, then 1 and 4, then 2 and 3. Then once we reach halfway, the numbers trade sides. So now instead of 2 and 3, we have 3 and 2, then 4 and 1, then 5 and 0. So it's almost like the opposite of before. So now go ahead and try number 2. I'll read it to you, and then I'll give you a minute to work on it. If Manuel buys 3 green balloons, how many orange balloons does he buy? Use the table to help you. I'll give you a quick second. Okay, you should have figured this one out pretty quick because answers are already here for you. So if he buys 3 green balloons, so we look at the green column, go down to 3. How many orange balloons is he allowed to buy? Well, we just go over to the orange column from here. It's 2. So if he buys 3 green balloons, like on this chart here, 3, how many orange balloons can he buy? Well, we just look over this way, and it tells us that he can buy 2. And 3 plus 2 equals 5. So now I would like you all to go ahead onto the next page, and there is a chart that goes all the way up to 10. So fill in the blanks on that chart and complete number 3 and 4 by yourself. When you're all done that, try the back of the paper. If you have a lot of troubles, come see me and I will help you out. Or if I'm still teaching the group on the carpet, you can sit with us and follow along, and then as soon as we're done, I can help you one-on-one. Okay? I'll talk to you guys soon.